The chill of the morning air does little to wake me. Sleep offers no true rest these days, only fleeting moments away from the stench of decay that clings to this city like a shroud. I am what they call a plague. Doctor, though doctor, the title feels like a cruel joke. I am more of a collector of last breaths, a chronicler of despair. Each day, I don my uniform, the long, waxed leather coat, heavy and stiff, the wide-brimmed hat that marks me from a distance, a signal for the healthy to flee and the sick to weep. And of course, the mask, this grotesque beak filled with sweet-smelling herbs ambergris, mint, cloves, and myrrh. They say it purifies the air, that it wards off the miasma. The bad air, they believe, carries this pestilence. Does it work? I can't say, but it does shield me from the overwhelming smell of death, and for that, I am grateful. It also hides my face, my humanity. Behind this leather and glass, I am no longer a man. I am a symbole, a walking omen. My work begins at dawn. I walk the deserted streets, my staff tapping a lonely rhythm on the cobblestones. The silence is the worst part. A city that once bustled with life is now a ghost town. Doors are marked with red crosses, a warning to all who pass. Behind those doors lie families huddled in fear, waiting for the inevitable. My first call is usually to a wealthy merchant's house. The rich believe their gold can buy them salvation, that my strange concoctions and dubious treatments can hold death at bay. They pay handsomely for my presence, for the illusion of hope. I enter the darkened room. The air is thick with the scent of fear and sickness. I see the telltale signs, the fever, the delirium, the black buboes, swelling in the groin and armpits. The family looks at me with desperate eyes, pleading for a miracle I cannot provide. My methods are what the university taught me, mixed with a dose of what feels like pure guesswork. I might lance a bubo, letting the foul pus drain out. The patient screams, a sound I have become far too accustomed to. I apply a poultice of figs and cooked onions mixed with yeast and butter. Will it help? Perhaps. Or perhaps it just gives them something to believe in as their body wages a war it is destined to lose. I prescribe potions of arsenic, mercury, or ground unicorn horn for those who can afford such fantasies. I bleed them, believing that balancing the four humors blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile will restore health. I watch the dark, sluggish blood fill the bowl and I feel a pang of doubt. Am I healing, or am I merely hastening their journey to the grave? The fear in their eyes is a constant companion. It's a raw, primal terror. They see me, and they see their own mortality reflected in my glass-eyed stare. I am the last person they want to see, yet the only one they can call. The poor have no such luxuries. In the cramped, filthy alleyways where the plague runs rampant, I am not a paid professional but a municipal employee, a counter of the dead. Here, there are no desperate pleas, only a grim acceptance. I step over bodies left in the gutters. I enter hovels where entire families have succumbed, their bodies lying where they fell. My job here is simple, to confirm the cause of death and to record the numbers. So many numbers. Each one was a life, a story, a network of love and loss, now reduced to a tally mark in my ledger. It is a grim accounting. Sometimes, a child, miraculously untouched by the sickness, will watch me from a corner, their eyes wide and empty. They don't cry. The tears have long run dry. Interrogasi, I see an accusation, a question I cannot answer. Why them? Why not me? I remember one case vividly. A young woman, a weaver named Alara. She was barely 20. When I arrived, she was still lucid, her fever not yet high enough to steal her mind. She wasn't afraid. Not in the way the others were. She looked at me with a strange clarity and asked, "Will it hurt?" I found myself unable to lie. "Yes," I said, my voice muffled by the mask. "It will. 4 days." I visited her. I didn't perform the usual, torturous remedies. Instead, I sat with her. I changed the cool cloves on her forehead. I gave her water. I listened as she spoke of her dreams, of the life she was supposed to live, the love she was supposed to find. I was breaking every rule. A doctor is meant to be detached, an instrument of medicine, not a con. But with her, the mask felt less like a shield and more like a cage. On the 5th day, the delirium took hold. The buboes blackened and ruptured. Her screams echoed in the small room, a symphony of agony. I held her hand, my gloved fingers intertwined with hers. There was nothing my herbs, my potions, or my lancet could do. My knowledge, all the books I had studied, all the lectures I had attended, it was all useless against this invisible tide. I was a fraud, a man in a bird costume, performing a macabre play for a dying audience. As she took her last, ragged breath, a single tear escaped my eye and traced a path through the grime on my cheek. Primera, I failed, not just as a doctor, but as a human being who could do nothing but watch another suffer and die. The city had paid me to save its people, and all I could do was bear witness to their extinction. Now, as I sit in my study, the ledger opened before me, the ink smelling of iron and sorrow. I wonder what my purpose truly is. Am I a healer, or am I just a well-dressed vulture, profiting from misery? I see my reflection in the window upon the long beak, the dark hat. The figure is monstrous, inhuman. Perhaps that is what I have become, stripped of empathy, hollowed out by the sheer scale of this tragedy. Every day I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, but I am no shepherd. I am just another shadow. I record the names, I watch the pyres burn, and I breathe in the perfumed air of my mask, a sweet lie in a world gone bitter. The sun will rise again tomorrow, and I will don my uniform once more. I will walk the silent streets, and I will continue my work, not as a doctor, but as a ghost among ghosts, forever questioning if I am a keeper of life, or simply the last one to turn out the lights. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past compelling, consider subscribing for more stories from history's forgotten voices. Stay safe and stay curious.